All right, Panther fans, we're back. So we've got our select group here, minus one, though. We're all waiting on Jeff. We're all waiting on Jeff Automatic. So we decided to start without him. I don't know how it's on your screen, but from left to right, we got Timmy. We got the idiot that plays with the puppets. We got Jack. And then below him, we've got our lines. It's like the guys are on wings, Timmy, Jaws, and Jack. And then we got Pam and Karen on the bottom here playing defense. So, and I guess when Jeff eventually shows up, if a guy in a giant rat suit shows up, that's Jeff. He's the goalie. All right. And he's going to do a bag skate for being late. So we're all here. And I think this might be the most agreeable, somewhat agreeable video that we will ever make here on this channel and in this format. We're here to discuss how boring our summer was before Friday night. It was Friday night, right? Yeah,
yes,
when all of our lives changed for forever. Especially mine. I'm not going to get into it, but anybody who's watched channel knows I called the trade. I'm still geeking out about it. That's going to take me about a week to stop geeking out. I apologize. I keep mentioning it. So we'll move on. Now, I already know a couple of the opinions that we have, but I'm dying to hear more. And if Jeff ever showed up, he would be here to disagree with everything everybody says. So unfortunately, right now, we're just going to have to pretend to mostly agree. But I want to start with Pam, because I have a feeling I already know what the guys up above are thinking. I don't know what Karen's thinking, but I know what Pam's thinking. And so I want to start off there because I just finished the video with One Bad Steve and Puck Monkey. And Steve was really the biggest Uyghur fan in Pantherville. He's going to hate me for saying that. But Pam, why don't you give us your take on the whole thing, how it came to be for you, how you found out, and what you think we shoulda, woulda, coulda, and what we did do.
Well, I have Friedman notifications on my phone. So sitting there watching whatever I was watching on TV, reading a book, and my phone goes off. So I look, and it was the first one that he posted saying that the Panthers are traded for Tkachuk. No additional information, just the announcement. And my first response was, holy shit. As a matter of fact, I think I retweeted Friedman, and that's what I said.
Right.
Now, personally, I love Tkachuk. At that moment, before I knew what we're giving up, I was ecstatic. I love him. Flames are my Canadian team. So then when everything started coming out about what we gave up, I was actually fine with Hubie going the other way. As much as I love him from a business standpoint,
right,
it was a good move. They're a lot alike. They do similar things, but I think Tkachuk is much better defensively, and he's 5 years younger.
Right.
Sold. I'm good with it. I was actually also okay with the first round pick in Schwinny. As much as I love him, I was okay with that too. Not a fan of the Uyghur going. I understand that he's going to be expensive to keep. He's earned the right to be paid. I'm just a really big fan from that standpoint. From the business standpoint, I get it, because it's entirely possible and probable that Flames don't keep either of them.
Right. Right.
So that first round pick and that prospect is essentially what you're trading for Tkachuk at this point. But I think it's sad that we couldn't have kept one of them. I also think that after everything that I've read, and it's been a couple days, man, I think Hubie got screwed. They should have. The guy deserved the chance to know that it was a possibility. I don't like the way Zito just basically hung him out to dry.
Right.
That's
Okay.
my take.
All right,
And I'm
Karen,
gonna be getting a jersey next year.
you're getting a jersey.
Gotta replace those two.
Yeah, it's funny because
Yeah.
Steve had his Huberdeau and Uyghur jersey up too, in the video I just finished with him. All right,
Yeah, I
Karen.
think that was cool, Sam. I found out Friday night as well because I'm a night owl. And like Sam, the first one I saw was we're getting Tkachuk, but no details. And then when it came up, it was Huberdeau and Uyghur. My reaction was the same as a whole lot of people. Like, wait, what? Really? But hockey's a business. I've seen a lot of people be really upset. There's one guy I saw today on Twitter said, I'll never accept Tkachuk. You've ruined the team, blah, 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 blah. By getting rid of Huberdeau. I've been around a long time and watched a lot of hockey and seen a lot of things happen with teams. I mean, I grew up a Red Wing fan. A lot of bad stuff happened there too. It happens. You got to be philosophical about it and just hope for the best. I'm sorry, like Sam said, I'm sorry that apparently, allegedly, Huberdeau was not told
Right.
that something was in the works. I think they deserved him. They deserve to give him that courtesy. That kind of doesn't set real well with me. I've heard some other not so great things about Zito in that kind of regard, where he's just not cool about stuff. He's made some great moves for the team. Don't get me wrong. I won't argue that, but I feel bad. And I also heard that Barkov's not happy either, which is interesting. But I think it's going to really light a fire under the whole team, because that like really proves nobody is exempt. Nobody is safe. You
Right.
guys are on alert. If we can get rid of Hubie, we can get rid of you.
Right.
Uyghur, he wasn't great. He wasn't terrible. He's like collateral damage.
Excellent.
He goes
Excellent
along
way
in the
to put it.
deal, and we'll get somebody to replace him. Somebody just as good, hopefully a little bit better.
Okay,
So,
Timmy.
there's that.
Timmy, what you got
Oh,
for
man.
me, bud?
Uh-oh, he's got to stand up.
There's a lot to spin in this thing, man. I mean, I was actually mad, not mad, but I was like 11 something hits. Yesterday I had to get up at 6:30 for work. So when the trade broke at 11 something Friday, I was like, first thing I thought was, damn it, now I'm going to be up all night. Because first thing I said to myself, because I knew that people were going to talk about it, and so then all the spaces started joining, and so then that happened, and then I just, as you guys saw, I just saw that Matthew Tkachuk got traded to Florida. I had no clue what the return for. So then what started going through my head was, okay, that's wild, but at the same time, I was like, Lundell's going to be gone, Verhage, all these names were just going to be gone. I didn't even remotely even think Huberdeau. But now thinking, a couple of days have passed, it makes sense. But so that started going through my head. And when I saw the return, I was like, oh, wow, I was like, they really traded Huberdeau. I knew Uyghur was going. I figured Uyghur was going to be in that trade. I just didn't know Huberdeau. But at the same time, if it wasn't going to be Huberdeau, it was going to have to be Verhage, because one of them weren't taking third line minutes. There was no way. Verhage's not going to want to go to the third line, and Tkachuk's always been on the left wing. So basically, you could have tried Verhage, Barkov, Tkachuk, and switched them to the right side if Huberdeau stays, and they just traded a bunch of other stuff. But it had to be Huberdeau just because age, etc. And and yeah, I think it's great for us. Personally, I think it's phenomenal. I don't know the backstory. I saw a little bit of David Dwork, but until I actually get more information on that, I don't want to read too much into that. I don't know what happened with Huberdeau there. I don't know if he really found. I don't know. I don't know if he really found out via whatever Zito just trading him. Who really knows? Who knows? The only thing that I'm a little bit upset about is I hate how when Panthers like return to games or like whatever, like these big name people, they end up like, oh, we'll give him like a 2-minute video. I just really hope that Huberdeau does get his whenever he returns on that November 19th game. Because right now they only gave him like a 1-minute-and-20-second video. And even myself, I'm like, no, Huberdeau's your leading scorer in points. He could have asked for a raise a long time ago. He stuck with us through all the crap years, all that stuff. And so for me, I just hope he gets his like 6-7 minute thing everyone rises. Like, I hope he gets that. That's all that I guess I would want. But
I
we can go
can see that happening.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I just want. I just don't want him to get like something that says "Welcome back, Jonathan Huberdeau," and that's it, like a 1 minute video.
Right.
He doesn't. He deserves a lot more in some 1 minute 30-second video than what they showed on Twitter. I just
Yeah.
hope that.
That'll be complicated a little bit by the fact that we got to do it for Uyghur at the same time. So that might, one thing might affect the other. Jack.
Presuming they're both still in Calgary, though.
Well, I mean, I think we played November 29th or the 19th. So I mean, unless
They'll be both on the team then.
they should be on the team. I mean, unless Huberdeau pulls Tkachuk and says, I'm not signing and here's where I'll go. I mean, which, you know,
we can go more into detail on that, but
yeah. All right. I want to get Jack's thoughts.
Just saying.
Very, I think the most important point is something that every Panther fan, the most passionate Huberdeau fan, who's been a fan of the Panthers for a long time, will all agree on the one thing. It was about 10 years ago, maybe a little more, that Jay Bowmaster wanted out of here. And his father said, why do they even have a hockey team in Florida? And he bolted. And it was kind of embarrassing, kind of humiliating, but he wanted out. He ended up at Calgary, didn't he? I think it's the irony of it. I know he went to a Canadian team, but I don't remember where. It might have been Calgary. Look how far we've come. That 10 or 12 years ago, a talented young player like J-Bo wanted out desperately. And now 10, 12 years later, a talented young player who could have picked any team just about wanted in. And that, I think, is the biggest takeaway, putting the players aside. As a franchise, the fact that we've come this far, that players of that caliber want in, I think is an incredible testament to what's happened over the last few years with the ownership, with building the practice rink, with Zito transforming the team over the last 3-4 years, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the first point. The second point, being brief, is, I mean, I'm known that, I love Huberdeau as a person, as a player, but I'm not a fan of his style of play. This is not something I've hidden over the years. The 3 playoff years, he just doesn't translate to the type of play when you lose ice space. It doesn't work for him. So, and obviously Zito, believed the same. This is an incredible upgrade. I mean, going from someone like that to someone like Tkachuk, who's going to be in the crease, in the zone, taking shots in the playoffs. And it's really, that's what it's about. It's about the playoffs. And lastly, we've opened up our window where, like a couple of years ago, when I would talk to people 2 years ago, well, we got to do this in 3-4 years because, Hoopy's going to be 30-ish and 31, 32, and now he's on the other side of the mountain, or the back nine of his career. This just completely opens it up. When you look at the roster now, we're all 26 and younger. So we now have more of a 3, 4, 5 year window. And the fact that we've blown some draft picks sucks. And I think we all hate that we don't have any first picks. But when your core of a half a dozen or more players is 26 or younger, it's not that critical. Right. We're not waiting for, the next kid to come off the mountaintop.
Right.
That's my feeling.
So a couple of things. First, to the point, this is just my opinion, to the point about, Huberdeau not finding out how the way that it was worded to me, the way I saw that it worded, I believe it was poorly worded. And what he was trying to say was they had some initial discussions, and like the Panthers were expecting the next call to be from Huberdeau was expecting the next call to be from the Panthers, bouncing numbers back and forth. The thing about not telling Huberdeau, now I've noticed this in the few years that I've been doing this, and I've noticed this with talking with Randy and Billy and George. The Panthers are extraordinarily, compared to a lot of other teams, tight-lipped. you don't get anything out of that team until they want you to know. And I'm not so sure that that Zito and crew, and I'm not saying that they're blameless here, but I'm not entirely sure that Zito and crew just completely trusted maybe Huberdeau's agent, that if it got leaked out, let's face it, if it gets leaked out Friday morning that the Panthers are thinking about trading Huberdeau, fan base might go batshit crazy a little bit. And I know from personal experience and other things I've been told from other people, the ownership, the management of this team, it's perception first, 100% perception. They want to win hockey games, but they're kind of cutthroat when it comes to the perception. That's been my experience and what I've been told. The second thing to what Karen was bringing up, I don't want to poo-poo that idea, because you're not wrong when you said about, if they're both on the team at that same time. I think, though, if anybody would not be on the team, it would be Huberdeau. I don't think Uyghur has the collateral, the capital, so to speak, to demand, I'm not signing, you know what I mean? I think if Huberdeau can say, can kind of pull a Tkachuk and say, I'm not signing, you have to move me now. I think that's possible before the season, but I have a feeling that Uyghur, and he might fit in Sutter's system too. That's the other thing is, and I think he has a chance of sticking. Huberdeau, I would be shocked if Calgary can sign him long-term, but they may also feel like the best return they can get for him is at the trade deadline, because adding Jonathan Huberdeau to somebody's roster, at the trade deadline, they would have a ton of suitors, and then they could look at what they got it for Tkachuk at, in entirety. So yeah, Karen, you're not wrong, but I have a feeling that they'll still both be on the roster that early in the season. But it'll really be odd if only Uyghur comes back, because then we'd end up with two tributes, because wherever Huberdeau would go.
Yeah, he would still get it. But I've seen more than one report of Calgary flipping Huberdeau, now.
For
So
sure.
I'm just saying it's a possibility. That's all.
Right. No, you're definitely not wrong. You're definitely not
They're
wrong.
gonna have the money. Calgary's gonna have about.
I'm always right. Sorry, Tim.
They'll have big money.
What's that, Timmy?
I said Calgary's gonna have about 36 million next year in cap space.
Right.
So
I can't.
They're gonna keep Uyghur. They're gonna try and keep Uyghur, but the amount of the what they can get for Huberdeau for a contending team, like someone that needs a over the hump guy, like the Rangers, Carolina, things like that. Just maybe
no. He has to
let's
stay in the
not talk
Western
that way.
Conference. He has to stay in the
well, I'm
Western
saying
Conference.
basically like us for what we wanted for Giroux, where that's basically what's Calgary's getting out of Huberdeau. But I think they'll try and keep Huberdeau, but I just don't realistically see him saying like, no, I don't want to stay here.
Right.
I can't see them not keep. I mean, they'll do everything, Calgary, for their fan base to keep Huberdeau. I mean, they lost Johnny Hockey and now Matthew. I mean, that's a disaster. I mean, they're hanging on to, okay, but look, we got Hubie. So I think they'll do everything, to have Huberdeau, skate. So I'm very confident, Karen, in November, we will have Hubie Doobie Doo. Hubie Doobie Doo will be there.
I think he's gone after next year, though. I think he wants to hit the open market because the man's going to get paid. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Montreal throw boatloads of money at him.
Right.
Calgary,
and he's a Quebec boy. I understand, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes there. He's a good fit there. I have no problem with that.
Trade him. There's no way they make this trade without knowing, like, hey, we're going to lose him for just Cole Schwinson, a draft pick. They're going to try and talk to his people, his agent, and the moment his agent's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm telling you exactly what they're going to do. They're going to be like, okay, well, we got our guy. You know what I mean? Now we can basically trade Huberdeau for much more assets. People are going to be giving up. I mean, we gave up Owen Tippett. I mean, say what you want about Owen Tippett, but we gave him up for, Giroux, and Giroux's freaking 33. So whatever he is, and you're talking about 29 years old, which is my age, but you still got your peak is usually at that 34 range is when you start to decline. Who knows about Huberdeau, though? He's going to a great system. Daryl Sutter's going to teach him how to play defense.
Right.
I mean, so who really knows? I mean, he can go into Sutter's system and be like, I actually kind of like this. And who really knows? Because the money will be there. Calgary has enough money to throw at him. It's just
Yeah.
They'll
whether or
have
not
to pay him more than what they offered Gaudreau.
What I
Well,
saw is he wants 11.
um,
He wants 11 million by 8 years. That's what he wants.
One thing
That's
Stu was
You
telling
have
me.
to be nuts to pay him 11 out for 11 for 8-9 years. I mean,
Mark
you're going to get.
Shifley started 8.5 deal at 33 years old. So people do it. You'd be surprised.
People
God
are
bless them.
stupid. I
No,
didn't
I
even want us
understand.
to extend Huberdeau for 8 years.
6.
Yeah,
Give
no.
him 6.
It's understandable.
One thing
Yeah, I
that
get-
Stu was talking to me about when he was here, and I think it was Stu, Calgary, 38%. I think Montreal is like 50%, the taxes. So from that perspective to what you were talking about, Pam, about him just getting just that's the part I kind of feel bad for him, because he was fixing, if he was going to get 10 from Florida, that if he gets 10 from Montreal, it's only 5, he loses
Yeah.
money, so from the human perspective, I feel for Huberdeau. From just 1 second you're posting your Instagram stories and your Lamborghini and enjoying your summer, and the next thing you know, not only are you headed to Calgary maybe, but now you have to decide, do I want to stay? Do I want to go? I mean, it's just huge, monumental life decisions, and out of nowhere, I'm sure for him. I do wonder though. I do wonder if when Huberdeau heard about Tkachuk being available and Florida being on the list, I kind of do wonder if Huberdeau was like, I wonder if he got any kind of gut instinct, any kind of inkling that, maybe his number could get called. It's a little scary. But so, all right, I want to get everybody's opinion on the product on the ice, because the trade is done. We know what we're dealing with. We know that once we put Duke on LTIR, we're still like 375,000 over the cap. So we either still have to move somebody, and don't anybody dare say that name. Okay, that we're not, no. And number 2, or we could just go with a really like a smaller roster and have guys down in the minors. So I won't cut anybody off for saying the name, but y'all know, we're not, no. So I'll start with you, Timmy. How do you feel about how this affects the defense, especially, and what do you think we're going to do about cap for this year?
Oh, you're good. Defense is definitely going to look a little different. Placing Uyghur is going to be hard, but I looked up a lot of Mark Stahl stuff, and a lot of the Red Wings fans, they actually thought he was good. He only had 2 for 71 games. So I don't see Bill Zito bringing a guy like that without actually intending to play him. Maybe not the full 82 or in that high 70 mark, but, give him that 40 range. The person I'm looking for is Matt Kierstad, who, keep in mind, is signed to his NHL deal that he just re-signed actually is a one-way starting next year. Not this season, but next year. So it definitely seems like they have, a promise that they want to see him get going. They signed the Matt Staios guy. There's a bunch of names that can be thrown out there.
Right.
So defensive wise, I think they have a plan. If the season started today, then obviously you just, you do what you do. I would love to see personally Brandon Montour finally get what he deserves. Get on that second pairing, and you can Forsling Ekblad, and then Montour and Gudis if you want, whoever else is there. As for as the team plays out, I don't think Zito's done. There's no way Zito's done. I mean, he's gonna have to shore up that defense. I don't see if we are in a up and coming like team, like in the middle of a rebuild, but then also like wanting to contend, then you run maybe a Lucas Carlson, then maybe you run like a Kierstad, because then you want to see how they play out, and then you like run a few vets. I think we're in a win now window, so it's like I just don't see him being done with the defense. I see him keeping his core that he likes, and then maybe trying to just have those other 6, 7, 8 guys just be there on the bottom half, or just there. I just don't see him realistically being done. There's no way. Okay. But I'm excited. It's an exciting time.
Yeah. Amen to that. Jack, what do you think?
I think that I don't think that we're going to see any more major changes. I do think Zito, will fool around, but I have a minority opinion here. I'm not that upset with the defense as it sits now. Certainly, we'd like to improve it, of course. I think you may build more of a team defense, than we've had. And if you read between the lines, what the coach was saying, maybe we won't have 120 points in a run and gun type team, but maybe it'll be much more of a 100-point grind, play more defense kind of team. I think Tkachuk is a much better 200-foot hockey player than Huberdeau was. Pam, I defer to Pam. She's probably seen Tkachuk a lot more than I have, but it's certainly my perception was that of that. I'm just not, and you got some great centers. You got Barkey and Lundell, and you got two-way centers. I think that I think we could work with the defense that we have, but I'm not. I mean, with what Zito's done to date, 3 years ago, there's only 3 guys left on the roster from 3 years ago. So we just watched Zito rebuild a team without damaging our chances every year to make the playoffs. So I'm not going to question him. Yeah. I'm not going to question him. 3 years. I don't remember in Cap era. I don't remember a hockey team that could basically wipe out a team except for 3 guys: Barkey, Ekblad, and I guess Bob. Yeah, those were the only guys there 3 years ago. Can anybody jump in on me where you can, basically just reconstruct the team in a Cap era without falling apart first, without pulling an Arizona? So I'm not going to doubt him, and I'm not losing sleep on the defense as it's framed now, knowing that I think the coach is going to play a tighter, more defensive, playoff-ready kind of hockey.
Right. Karen?
Yeah, Jack just made a good point with as far as the coach too. That he's an unknown quantity as far as I'm concerned. Who knows what he's going to do with our team. As far as the defense, I love Montour and I love Forsling. Those 2 kids just really stole my heart. So I want to see them be able to step up and do even better. Who else? We got Barkov and Gudis. The rest, not my problem. That's the coaching problem. That's the GM problem. You guys all get into the lineups and who's going to be on this line. I don't care. I don't get it. I don't get involved in it. It doesn't interest me. I just want to see the guys on the ice, and I
can give you a good number, Karen, if you want an interesting number. Sam Bennett, when he played with Matthew Tkachuk, averaged 1.9 points per game at 5.5, at 5 versus 5. So that's a lot of people. We can, George, you can more depth on that, but a lot of people think that Tkachuk's going to go right with Barkov. His numbers with Sam Bennett in Calgary were outstanding.
That's awesome. I'm anxious to see Tkachuk. I don't know that much about him. I don't watch West Coast teams. So I watched a highlight reel of his last night, and it's like, that boy's got some moves. And he is really good. So I'm excited to see him on the ice. But it's like, I will trust in the management, the powers that be, to put the best players on the ice and hope that the coach can get them to produce the way they need to produce. Right. That's all I can hope for. Barkov is elite as far as I'm concerned, but there's some stuff he's got to step up to, especially when it comes to the postseason. So maybe this new coach can do something with him. I hope so.
Karen, what did you think of Pam? What did you think of Lucas Carlson? Am I overrating him? I
like Lucas Carlson. No, I thought
that's 3 votes.
I thought Carlson got shit on kind of at the end of the season last year after the trade deadline, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I was, first of all, I wasn't somebody who wanted Sherratt to begin with. I thought at the trade line we should have gone for somebody more like Calvin DeHaan from Chicago. He wouldn't have had to pay as much money for him. Right. And he's a defensive defenseman. You're not going to get a whole lot of highlight reels from somebody like DeHaan, but he plays a responsible defensive game. My problem right now with our defense is they're all the same, except for Gudis. I mean, we essentially have even the guys in Charlotte are a lot like what
Right.
we already have. Now, I'm with Karen, and she knows my boy Forsling. I'm all about it. I loved him in Chicago when he first started. I just don't think that he ever got the chance in Chicago. So when we
Right.
picked him up, I was ecstatic. And the other thing, Karen, you were talking about you didn't know much about Tkachuk.
Tkachuk, yeah, I don't.
That kid has a motor that does not stop.
Yep.
It's 100% all the time, every shift. He plays
That's
both
awesome.
ways. And personally, I'd like to see him on the second light with
Yeah.
Bennett
Yeah.
because
I'm gonna love
I-
watching that kid. That's my kind of player. I
you're
love
gonna
that kind of
love
player.
him. He's gonna become your favorite.
Oh, good.
And the other thing about going back to Hoobie for just a second is as much as I love him, the boy went on walkabout every season he was here. Somewhere at some point in time, except for last year, he waited till
Right.
the playoffs for that to happen.
Yeah.
He disappears for like a month at a time. And I don't know if it's because he's French Canadian or if it's just his personality, but he comes across as I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I know he
who-
did
who
care.
cares?
Don't get me
Right.
wrong.
that's the
I
phrase
know
of the
he
week.
I know he cares, but his nonchalance was I didn't like
Annoying.
it. Yeah,
Well,
I didn't
it's
like it.
it's
Pam,
the
I
opposite.
think
Go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say, Pam, I think he cares. I don't think he has hunger. There's
Yeah.
a difference between caring, showing up, playing right, and having hunger. I don't think etching his name on the Stanley Cup was a hunger of his.
Maybe.
And that's just that's always been my impression of him. That's always why I'm known not to be a huge fan of his. I just never saw him. I see more hunger in Barkov. It doesn't mean like Trocheck, showing wearing his heart on the sleeve kind of hunger, but Barkov has hunger. You can see in his play. I
Right.
never saw that hunger in Hubie, and maybe that's why I never was a wrap
And
my
I-
arm around.
He's gonna have to now play him for Sutter. That's the only reason why
One
the Chuck got.
time.
Yeah.
The only time I ever saw Huberdeau.
The Chuck
I'm
used to
sorry.
play
I'm sorry.
like- he used to be on the third line, rolling with the Sam Bennett and Troy Brower. He used to never touch any. Look at his points. He had like 40, 60. It started going up, but once Daryl Sutter got there and taught the Chuck that, hey, defense first, offense can come, to Chuck changed his entire way he plays, started battling in the corners, started actually giving a shit. And that's what Huberdeau's going to have to do. He's going to have a coach
Yeah.
because if Huberdeau tried to do that stuff that he did in Florida, Daryl Sutter isn't going to have it. Daryl
No.
Sutter is going to, it will not allow sit him, whatever. Who knows? I mean, obviously that's for Calgary media, but if you watch how Daryl Sutter coming in changed the way entire platform of Matthew Tkachuk's game, that's exactly what they're going to want to do with Huberdeau. It's going to be actually
Huberdeau's a lot older, and he's gotten away
He's
with
more
this
stubborn
lackadaisical.
too. He's more stubborn. There's a reason why Huberdeau had those. He had like a negative defensive rating. He always got the offensive draws for a reason. Like that's the one thing about Tkachuk. You were explaining to Karen. He is not the memes for Florida since Bob Bugner was here of like the playing 60 minutes. That's the funny thing about Florida, like how we just never. You always hear, oh, we just didn't play a full 60. Tkachuk is a full 60. As soon as he hits that ice, he's going and going and going until he gets off the ice.
Barkov's
I
gonna
hope-
love him.
Hopefully he's a good example for the other guys too. It's like, oh, this is how we're supposed to do it. Okay.
Well, and when you look at it, now when you look at like the Balsers and Cousins and White and the type of players that we've been told that they are,
Right.
you can see the painting that Zito's trying to put together. You can see the picture coming together. Now with Huberdeau, like I've said, the perception, we all know what he meant when he said, who cares? But yet we still, you can't say that. We know what you meant, Johnny, but you at least come out the next day and say, I could have worded that better, right?
Exactly.
And then the Instagram post that he had to take down, where it's the Eastern Conference Finals, and he's posting, I'm enjoying my fantastic summer. I'm enjoying my vacation. And it's like, It's not a good look. And right before this video started, Stu texted me Huberdeau's latest Instagram. It's not thanks to the Florida fans. It's nothing other than him at a concert, dancing and laughing and smiling with the women and the phone up, and him, and which is a big grin on his face. There's an element, what Jack is saying, there's a hunger, there's something that the champions have that I don't think that kid has. And doesn't mean he's not a great player, doesn't mean he's not a nice person or anything like that. But I've said in videos before, it takes a special kind of player. It takes a certain kind of player. And I think Zito may have just said, I think I've seen enough.
And we have that player.
He has.
He's at the end of his prime. If you watched Hornquist during the playoffs, even when he was cut down to like 3 or 5 minutes, that guy never sat down, was always standing. He has hunger, even with what he's got, 2 or 3 rings. I don't remember. That's my, yeah,
at least
that's my poster boy for hunger. I mean, Hornquist has hunger, and I think that you know, the little I've seen of Tkachuk, but the way Pamela describes it, he's going to have the hunger that we missed out on Huberdeau. But you bring up a good point. The pictures from Instagram, all that, it all adds up. And I'm sure Zito just sat back and goes, you know, this is not going to make it. You know,
right.
Zito needs to win soon so that he keeps his job. I mean, that's what he cares about. It's a business.
Right. So I'm going to ask a question that's going to trigger everybody.
Good.
It's what I do.
I love it.
We're kind of weak on defense.
Yeah.
Maybe not. It's arguable, but we're certainly not as, we've got question marks. We're going to be playing this defensive style, AKA not scoring as much. Can Bob handle the extra heat? Because I don't know that 2.6, 2.7 against is going to get it. We're going to need more of like a 2.4, 2.5 return, in my opinion. And I'm not suggesting Spencer Knight's ready to do that either, by the way. I mean, 50-50 there. You don't know till you throw the kid out there. But I'm talking Bob specifically. Bob had the best year last year he's had with us. I'm curious. I'm hopeful that I'm wrong. Let's put it this way. I'm concerned that adrenaline and the drive to this is our year to win the cup drove some of that improvement. And I'm just a wee bit not sure, because we know Bob's I'm not saying he's mental, but he's a mental goalie. When he's mentally right, he's crazy. And when he's not right, it ain't good. So we'll start with Pam, because I know she's just itching to slap me in the face. So we'll start with Pam. Give me your thoughts on if you think Bob's going to have to be better. I'm not complaining anything. He played well enough to win us a cup in the playoffs. This is full disclosure. But I think he's going to have to be better during the regular season for us to have the same kind of success. Go ahead, Pam.
I love Bob. I loved Bob before we got Bob. I don't know if I love Bob for $10 million a year, but I think that Bob was very good last year. Yes, his goals against were what, almost 3 or something? You know, I'm not a stat person. I don't pay attention to all those types of stats. But the one thing about Bob is he's always going to give up a softie at some point in time. So there's one goal. And I think that goes back to what you were saying. Bob's a very cerebral kind of player. Right. You know, he likes his pattern, you know, his pregame. He loves all of that process.
The routine, yeah.
Yeah, the routine is very important to him. What I worry about, I think Bob will be good again. I think Bob turned a corner during the playoffs last year for us. You know, I personally was very happy to see that he shut up a lot of people on my timeline on Twitter, except Karen, because she's my girl and she loves him. But I
thought she's my girl.
We can share her.
Okay, fair.
I think that the problem that we may face with Bob is going to be a new defensive playing style. Q, and Bruno both, because he just did the same thing. Played his own defense. I've read, and I don't know if it's gonna happen, but Maurice likes man to man. I'm more worried about that affecting Bob than anything else.
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that. All right, Karen, go ahead.
Well, clearly, you know what I'm going to say. I have absolute faith in Bob, absolute confidence in him. I think he was stellar last season, especially in the playoffs. I think even if the D system changes, I think he can adapt. He's older, he's wiser, he's very savvy. I think his head's in the right place. I think, as Jack said, he's got, what was the word you used? The hunger, the focus, the determination. He wants that cup. I think he wants it, and he'll do whatever he can. I think if he has better defense in front of him, he'll do a lot better too. He was left out to dry a whole lot of times last season.
Yeah.
Where the D just fell apart, and poor Weeds, that game in the playoffs with the puck behind the net. A good, solid defensive system probably won't make that many mistakes. And he'll let in a cheap one every once in a while. Of course, every goalie does.
Luongo's the same.
Every game,
Yeah,
he gave up at least one cheap goal.
Yeah.
They're not gods. But I think Bob has the mindset for it. I think he has the talent for it. He's got the maturity for it. And I have absolute faith in him and confidence. He's our guy.
All right. Timmy, what you got?
Oh, I got a couple things. I mean, first thing first, we're talking about defense, but reality is that we have defensive metric forwards. We have forwards that are going to play back now. We don't have these run and gun forwards that are just strictly on offense. All their guys are like I think Nick Cousins' defensive metrics and Rudolph Balcers are great. They're really so you have like the vets that aren't just, the run and gun heavy type that are just going to be going. And another thing that I will say is that the last time Paul Maurice had a team like this with great goaltending and Bob and, high talent, he took the Jets to the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
Now, it's whatever you want to say. If you think that this Panthers team is better than that one is, up to you. But that's where coaching comes in handy, to where Paul Maurice has proven that give him a damn good team, he's going to take you to where you want to go. It's been proven. It has been proven.
Right. Yep.
So that's where I'm kind of at on the defense. The defense will figure it out. I'm not too worried. They have the guys, and Bill Zito obviously watches. So, and I think, I think Karen just alluded to it, Bob had a chip on his shoulder. You think Bob likes knowing he just got swept like that?
Right.
I mean, there's no way Bob's saying to himself, all right, boys, another season coming up. There's no way he's going to come in and be like, nope, I am not getting swept. Not saying the Panthers are going to win the cup, but I just don't see him having that mentality of like there's going to be that in the back of his head, nope, I'm not letting in that cheap one anymore. Maybe not as many of the cheap ones or whatever. I just don't see that happening. And there's a lot of things that are in play, but the main thing I want to get across was I think the forwards are going to be playing a lot more back. That's where having a Tkachuk over a Huberdeau matters.
That's a really good point.
That's a good point.
That's a really good point.
All right, Jack.
Well, and Timmy just said, more eloquently and stole my thunder, but more eloquently than I could. I mean, he's 28, so I have socks that are
Hold
over.
on.
So, saying that, I think I'm not sure about the premise. I think Bob may have an easier time this year. With guys like being able to play the two-way, and we just upgraded with a forward that's going to play two-way, and we got guys like we talked about before with Barkov and Lindell that go. And if everybody jumps into that plan, he might have less shots on goal on him, or more from the perimeter and less from less from the center. So it's a wait and see. And to Karen's point, I think Bob will. He has that hunger, he has that passion, and I think that was an excellent point by Karen or by Timmy. I don't remember which one, but he did not like getting swept, and especially by a competitive Russian goalie. That's not pretty for him.
Right.
So I think he'll have that hunger, and I think he may have a better time this year than last.
Okay. All right. Last thing, real quick. It's way too early, but we're gonna do it anyway. Just when I'm not doing points predictions. I'm not gonna steal your thunder. I know you're waiting for that on Twitter, Karen. Don't worry, I'm not doing that. Just
Oh boy.
I don't do that till partway through the season.
what last year when we would have all sat here doing this video, we probably all of us would have said, I expect to be at least within smelling distance of the cup. At least I know that's how I felt, how Stu felt.
I did.
What do you think for this season? What are we looking at? Because on one hand, it's like you think we want to make progress because we finally won a round, and on the other hand, they may all turn out great, but boy, it's a lot of question marks. If this guy, if. So we'll start with the ladies first, Pam, and we'll go back around. What do you think for this year as of now?
As of now, I think we're definitely a playoff team. I don't think we win the division. I actually think Toronto wins the division. But I also think that we win at least one playoff round. I personally will be disappointed if we don't get past round 2. Been waiting a long ass time for that. But I think that the guys that are still with the team are going to have a hunger that they
Right.
didn't have this year in the playoffs, because somewhere along the way, the optics were that they thought it was just a continuation of the regular season, that everything was going to be status quo, and that we were going to still put up, 4 or 5 goals a game, and that we were going to make these massive comebacks.
Yep.
Which, as fun as it was, it's not sustainable.
Right.
But yeah, I think that we're not as good in the regular season, but hopefully better in the playoffs.
All right, gotcha. Karen.
Yeah, I agree with Pam on that point. This year was great. I mean, I don't think anybody guessed that we would get, what was it, 120 points? That was just obscene. How many points we ended
I
up with.
can't let that go because Stu predicted the exact number of points at the
Okay,
beginning
yeah,
of the
one
season.
person did.
And I know, but he's going to watch this. And if I don't correct that, trust me, I'm going to get a text. Stu got it right.
My apologies to Stu. The majority of us did not see that coming.
Exactly.
And it was great. It was so much fun. And, finally, we got a President's Cup now, or trophy. That's awesome. That is so awesome. I'm thrilled with that. Wish we would have gone farther in the playoffs. Next year, I predict that there won't be as much press to win another President's Trophy. It's like, okay, we did that. We know what it takes, but it doesn't really matter. You gotta pace yourself to be in playoff mode, and let's get to the playoffs and play our hearts out and make it past the second round, past the third round, hopefully get to the finals and maybe win the whole damn thing. They have the talent for it. Now it's the desire.
Gotcha. Timmy.
There's a few things. One of you guys mentioned earlier about the draft picks. I just want to touch on that really quickly. To me, the draft picks don't matter. We haven't had a good draft pick since Aaron Ekblad. I mean, Anton Lundell. Lundell, but before Lundell, we haven't had anybody since Ekblad. So I've just been one to say that. But anyways, I can't believe Pam said Toronto. Man, who's gonna save him? Samsonov and the ghost of Matt Murray? You have that much
Just
faith?
saying.
Oh man, but that defense behind them, that's another subject for the name. But you're good. Anyways, we're gonna go.
We'll mark it down on the calendar so we'll see.
That's true. Well, we're gonna go. Really depends by Christmas. That's the way I see it, because a lot of times when Christmas time comes, those teams that are in the playoffs, those are usually there's a pretty high percentage. Like those are the teams that are going to remain throughout the playoff push. So Zito's in a win now mode. So I think by Christmas time ish, Thanksgiving, Christmas, depending where we are, is where I see us finishing. I think we're going to make the playoffs, but as like the ultimate where we're going to be, I don't know, because we're going to have a lot of money to work with next year. So, and I think they're going to be pushing heavy on the Hornquist trade. They already have. Why they didn't buy him out is beyond me, but who cares? A lot of reports.
Because you might as well use them.
Well, you're paying them $5 million to give you 20 points. When you can throw all these prospects you just got sitting there, and they have a lot of guys they just signed. He's costing you $5 million. If you can get a trade partner like us, I saw Seattle and Arizona in there, someone that can take their contract, and you can throw them a second from next year. So I don't want to. That's really where I'm at. Is I'm going to wait until Christmas time, and then I'd have a better answer for that. I do think we get past the first round and we get similar to where we were this last year, but I'm just tired of that. I don't know. I just want to see more. Right. So I think Bill Zito is going to be another buyer, and he's going to just like he did last year with Giroux and Sherrod and them. I think he's going to buy in.
Just give up our 20, 30 first round picks. We're good, right? Just give them up.
We're not going to have a first round until the next century.
Exactly.
That's fine. They don't work out anyways. They don't work.
Yep. All right, Jack.
I'll be quick. 100 points, Eastern Conference Finals, flip of a coin with the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Jack. If I had to bet, if I had any money, I would put it on the Rangers. To be honest with you, if somebody gave me $100, say who's going to win the cup, I would pick the Rangers right now. Just because of they've got the goalie, they've got the coach, and I'm not saying the Panthers can't, but we got to get past that second round. And I'd feel a lot better if we had been like losing round 2 in 7 games, double overtime, have that extra experience of having experienced that, right? I mean, basically what these guys got was the experiences of like, I think like Pam was saying, like, you know, they kind of walked into the Washington thing and said, we got this. And then, oh, wait, we got to play. Oh, shit. You know, and they, you know, Carter Hagee on one leg kind of pulled that, you know, him and Bob kind of pulled that run out for us. And then there was zero elevation of play, except for from Bobrovsky and Maxim Mammon against Tampa. And other than that, no, it's true.
Don't make me cry, man. Don't make me cry.
What? I know. He
stood
out. That's how bad we played. Maxim Mammon
I'm
was
still
standing
upset
out.
he went back to Russia.
The announcers were like, hey,
Bruno
he's the best
was.
guy in the ice.
It took Bruno 4 games for him to even play.
That's on Bruno. Everything you
Bruno.
described is on Bruno. Had he sat Uyghur down for a game after that tragedy, just to, you know, even you know, to make an important point, or sat Hubie down for 10 minutes, let's not go there. But I wanted to be clear. I said we will make the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
Okay.
I'm agreeing.
And I think we will play the Rangers, and I think it'll be a flip of a coin. Great match.
The Rangers lost a lot of
Do we
pieces.
go-
Of the Rangers that high? They lost a lot. They only brought in Trocheck and they lost Kopp. They lost a bunch of pieces. They lost like 8 guys. They only brought in like 3 people.
Trocheck is not just a you know,
Right.
He's not a just. He's a, you know, he's an important piece.
Yeah.
He'll fit well with Gerard too,
Exactly. Yeah.
as a coach.
Yep.
But do we go through Toronto or Tampa to get there?
I think we go next year through Toronto, and I think goaltending always wins, and I think we have better goaltending in Toronto. So I think we get through Toronto. Yes. Yeah. I can speak now only, but yes.
Yeah, I was better than both those guys. So,
Yeah. Agreed.
They should have never traded Campbell. They should have just damn signed him. But whatever, that's their problem.
They're relying on the ghost of Matt Murray.
All right, guys.
This was awesome.
Yeah, I
Thank you for
appreciate
having us.
everybody taking time out of their Sunday afternoon to do this. And
I hope Jeff's okay. He never did.
yeah,
show up.
I know. If somebody check, I left him a message on Twitter, but I have it full screen, so I can't see if he.
He hasn't answered.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe he might be sleeping. He works hard. You know what I mean? He's, you know, I think he's the young. No, Timmy's the youngest. But for the rest of us, you know, we only have to work so much, and then we can nap during the day. Jeff.
No,
works.
Jeff does construction. When my daughter was at UF, I saw him. I met him up at UF, and he was, you know, he's doing hard physicality work.
Yeah, so he's probably taking a nap. So, all right, appreciate all the support. Thank you for all the new subscribers. with everything going on with the channel. Yesterday, I gained 100 subscribers alone. So
Nice.
thank you
That's
all. Yeah,
awesome.
it's been, I'm having a good weekend. Having a good weekend. No
Thank
lies
Pete.
there.
Thank
What's that?
Pete. That was thank Pete Blackburn.
Yeah,
That was
no, I
awesome.
did. That was the first tweet I sent. I mean, the tweet thanking him has 100 likes. That's how crazy it's gotten. It's been a good weekend. So
Auto numbers.
yeah. I mean, when the magic, I said this to somebody on Twitter, and I think I've said this, Karen knows this. The magic only works when I'm irritated or mad. When I like try to do it, right? When somebody,
Yeah, it doesn't
I was
work.
pissed off that everybody kept talking about Lundell again. And now the 2 highest videos I've ever made, both centered around Anton Lundell. So every video from now on, I'm just going to put Lundell in the title, I guess. I don't know. It's a luck.
I started the Lundell trade, and then I deleted it. It's funny.
Yeah.
It worked out in your favor. That's good.
No, it's been great. It's been great. So, all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate everybody coming out, and we'll see you again soon.